Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host Chip. What is going on, everybody? What's going on, Chip? Trying to turn the volume down over here on this other
Crank
thing.
it in
There
your
we
ears,
go.
right? Yeah.
Man, it's just blasting over here. But man, we got lots of good stuff to go over. Tell you what, there was some interesting news regarding the SEC and the Ripple case. A lot of excitement over that. We'll dig into that. Now, here's the point. Do people sell the news and buy the hype? While Garlinghouse and Larson beat the SEC, XRP, there's a lot of hype over that. Is that going to take off? Is there going to be a massive moonshot of XRP, or are we just going to stick around this 49, 50, 51, 52 cent mark? I think right now, as we speak, it's probably right around 51 cents. But Chip, we got a lot to do, a lot to talk about.
Long way to go and a short time to get there. There we go. Let's go. And we'll start by diving in the shallow end
Head
for
first.
extra impact, right? Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
So welcome on a chain, everybody. Let's start from a place of where are you coming in from today? If you're on the rewatch, I want to know. Jeff wants to know. We read all comments, good, bad, indifferent. The bad ones, keep them to yourself. We don't need to know them. I'm just kidding. We love to read those. Those are some of the funniest ones.
Of
And
all
look,
of
you
them.
can't, you can't please everyone, so you just have to please yourself. Ricky Nelson wrote that in a song about going to a garden party where he was Ricky Nelson, the teen star back in I don't know if it was the 50s or 60s. I wasn't around then, but the 50s or 60s, and he was doing the bebop, the teenager thing, and then he started growing his hair long and grew a long beard and started writing different music. And he showed up in Madison Square Garden to play his new stuff, and he got kind of booed out of there because they were there to see the teen idol, right? The Ricky Nelson teen idol, and that's when he wrote that song "Garden Party." I went to a garden party and saw some of my old friends. He talks about, you can't please everyone, so you got to please yourself. And the main thing is that regardless of what you hear, and I'm tying this in, the reason, kind of what Jeff teased in the beginning, is that you're going to hear a lot of hype. You're going to hear a lot of stuff. You're going to hear bad stuff about XRP, bad stuff about this token. Bitcoin is this, Bitcoin is that. You got to really be true to yourself. You got to really, dig down deep and find out, like, what do you believe in, right? You've read all the stuff. You've done the research. Where your beliefs lie. Don't be swayed by a lot of the noise that's going out there. It's everywhere. It's pervasive. World events, lots of noise going on that has nothing to do steeped in reality. So you got to dissect it. You got to cut it up, and you got to say, hey, look, I made some investments in things that I believe in. I believe in for a reason because I did some research, or maybe it did no research. Maybe because it was cartoon bears, and who knows, Jeff. But I mean, but I will say this. Look at this. This is impressive right here. Rob McDermott up at 5 a.m. Good morning, guys. It's still dark on the West Coast. Look at this.
Man, bright and
I
early out there.
Yeah, I spoke to Rob
5:15
yesterday
a.m.
while we were texting back and forth. But you know me, I'm down for OTC, or is it OPP? Always confuses me. Listen, we're down with OPP and OTC. So there you go, right there. We got Ray running here. He's in here. What's up, Ray? Good to see you this morning. Look at this. We've got Frank O. American. Good morning from Los Angeles,
Look,
California,
we've
which
got
is another West Coaster.
yeah, look at Mark Smithson sitting in a deer blind in Chugwater, Wyoming.
Ooh, and a deer blind. I hope you got us in headphones, man. You don't want that. You don't want those deer. They can hear from far away, man. You can sit up there for 3 hours and all of a sudden you hear a little, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, there's a deer. You're so freaking excited. Now, are you hunting with a gun or a bow? Because I would be impressed if you were hunting with a bow. But still impressive that you're up in a deer blind, no doubt. Then we got, look at this. We got Puerto Rico's in the house. Beautiful to see that. By the way, Jeff, my wife just got back from Colombia, and she brought me some
Very cool.
artesian coffee. A lot
Straight
of where
from
our
the
coffee is, sourced and stuff, but right off the farm, freshly roasted, right off the farm.
nice.
So we got the Pacific Northwest, which is where Rob is located up there. Chugwater, great city name. I visualize clean rivers and streams with mountains in the background. Nice, Joe. Appreciate that.
Wyoming.
And yeah, and
All
some
of
exciting
Wyoming's
news
like that,
about. We
though.
also have Massachusetts are in the house here. Let me see. What do we got? Where did I see that? Good morning,
Georgia.
boys. Georgia's in the house. Yeah, so we got a lot of people just filtering in here. But let's talk a little bit about the SEC and them dropping the charges. Now, it's kind of funny to see sort of the reactions of this, and this is kind of what I was kind of alluding to, right? the reactions have been bizarre. So in the XRP community, it's like, oh, yay, we won. Okay, great. But as John Deaton once said, as Jeff and I talked about this early too, we formed the opinion of like, why would you go after Chris Larson and Brad Garlinghouse especially Garlinghouse, who didn't arrive at Ripple until 2015, where you had Chris Larson, who was an original founder. But Jeff, it's interesting that they went after both of them, but they didn't allege any fraud, just that they should have known. But when you start learning things that even as late as 2019, in 2018, if you worked for the SEC, you could purchase XRP. It wasn't until 2019 where they put some real stringent rules. But don't worry, Brad and Chris were supposed to know, even though they were transparent going to the SEC with every move they made, every time they did a partnership, telling them all along the way, they should have known. And they were reckless, Jeff. Now, what is that? What is that language? What was it? Reckless? They were out of their minds. They should have known it was a security. And so when you have Torres that drops the Torres doctrine on July 13th, as we've come to know it, you think about the fact that on July 13th, XRP is not a security. But don't worry, the SEC is still going after Chris and Brad because they should have known it was a security, even though it later came out that it wasn't security. That was never going to see the light of day. John Deaton called it very early. We said it would be ridiculous for them to go to court, especially after that ruling. And this is how it's a humiliation, in fact. And then you have people like Rand Neuner, who has like always been an anti-XRP guy. And he's like, I don't know what everybody's celebrating. And I'm paraphrasing, but he was like, I don't know what everybody's celebrating, Jeff. He was like, because now they can appeal it even quicker. John Deaton took him to task too, but I don't know. You want to chime in on that? Like your thoughts about the whole SEC dropping the charges against Chris and Brad?
Well, I think right from the start, we called it. I just across the board, I think there was a massive overreach by the SEC when it came to XRP. They were on the wrong side of that. We called it. The fact that they went after Larson and Garlinghouse personally, I think we talked about that as well, and we called it that complete overreach of authority of the SEC, and they were putting things into their original case that was just not relevant. They threw everything in there, but now they're losing on all sides of it. So it's a little shocking too, because if you think about the amount of money that has been spent in defense of this whole action. So how much money from taxpayer fund have gone into it? If we know that Ripple directly spent, maybe 150 plus million. So let's say they spent 150 million. What did the U.S. government spend? Was it an equal amount? Did they have to spend an equal amount? Was it 100? Was it 150 million dollars in taxpayer funds? Does that include all the different salaries of the different characters that were involved in this? Does it involve Gary Gensler? Does it involve the entire board, of the SEC? All those different players that have all had some sort of a part in this. And then you have all the legal funds, but then you have all the misinformation that was spread by the SEC. Then you have the amount of money that was lost by retail holders as a direct impact of the overreach of somebody named Gary Gensler and the SEC. So the SEC caused millions, if not, billions of dollars in losses. Plus they spent lots of taxpayer money. Plus they harmed citizens of this country financially. There was an action that shouldn't have taken place from the beginning because it was a complete overreach, and now proof is coming to light. The facts are coming to light. They can't run away from the facts, and that's it. Now it's a complete embarrassment for the SEC that they're losing on two major counts. Now, if they just would have said, "Hey, you know what, Ripple, we think that Ripple was selling an unregistered or sold XRP as an unregistered security," and they just focused on that element of the case. But now we go to that next level. What is that going to look like? Because even the judge, Torres was, kind of had some commentary on what might have happened. But if that's the case, we also know that Ethereum originally sold as a security. in the early stages, but they gave that a pass. So if they're giving Ethereum a pass, then that would mean you would have to give Ripple a pass. But the fact that Ripple may have sold XRP as a security doesn't in itself mean that XRP was a security, and that's what came out of all the court cases. But what's interesting about all of this, Chip, and this goes back to one of our premise from day one of the lawsuit, that this might have been and probably will go down in history as the fastest way to achieve full recognition that XRP was not a security. We will not get there through Congress, at least not now. We weren't able to do it then. We're not able to do it now. So it goes. So the open question will still remain: when this lawsuit was filed by the SEC against Ripple, was it done from a malicious intent in hopes of toppling Ripple, or was it done in order to streamline and bring XRP to light that it's a non-security?
Pondering the questions, Jeff. I mean, those are the big questions, and I guess we'll never really know. But it does seem there does. I mean, based on what government does, you and I laughed about it. So we might be sending some chocolates to the former SEC chair, right? Because this might be the quickest path. Now, did we think it would take 2.5 years? I certainly didn't. It wasn't on my bingo card for 2.5 years, but I certainly thought that with all the inaction in Congress and based on, Maxine Waters was the chair and they couldn't even get any of the crypto legislation, like even for out of, they couldn't even get it out of the back room, so to speak, right? They couldn't get it out of committee. You have to vote, at least take a vote in committee to see if it's going to go on the floor for a vote. They couldn't even do that. They couldn't even vote in committee to see if it should have a vote on the floor, because what were they interested in? Well, things that didn't concern you or we the people. They were interested in all kinds of ridiculous sort of things that had nothing to do with it. There is let me see here. I'm trying to find so funny because I had something queued up. So interestingly enough, this news broke last night. Well, yeah, there's always going to be they can still go forward with the fine, and the reason they can do that is because, as most people misinterpreted the Torres decision, was that people who bought XRP bought it blind. They didn't know if they were buying on an exchange. They were buying it from Ripple. They were buying it from you or I, one of us that were, they're market makers, market takers. They didn't know who was buying it from, or they're buying it from the exchange itself. It was a blind bid, and they were just purchasing XRP. Now on the Ripple side, they did have investment contracts. They were selling it directly. So there is something for the SEC there. However, the fact is that, now that you have these wins, in hockey we call it a hat trick. You get three goals in a row, you get a hat trick, and right now it's 3-0. And if you think about the fact that they're going to go, I would imagine, Jeff, that they would have some kind of a fine to pay. But what is it going to be for the $700 million? And what's that fine going to look like? And now they have a little bit more negotiation power, because they really want to go to court and leave it up to a jury to decide based on all of because, the problem is they can call witnesses like Bill Hinman. They get Bill Hinman up there and said, okay, you guys gave them a free pass, but look at this. In 2015, you basically did the same as an ICO, right? Initial coin offering. You did it over the course of a year. You allow people to buy anonymously. And so how does it that you didn't go after, you gave them a free pass when they clearly were doing an initial coin offering. But you went after, so it could be detrimental to actually go to court to show the hypocrisy of the decision.
Yeah, and so here's the question also. It doesn't seem like this could, I mean, maybe it will. Things are fast tracking. I don't know. Maybe it wraps up before the end of before the next election cycle. Does it end before the elections of 2024? Does it wrap before a new president is sitting in the Oval Office in January of 2025? I think it could. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. It drags out even further, meaning there's still going to be no other clarity coming through Congress. especially with the inaction that we're seeing there right now. But that, you're bringing up some really, solid points with that. And if there is a fine, the other counts, that's it. You move on with life. It's okay. It was then, it isn't now. Ethereum was then, it isn't now. Here's the fine that you have to pay. Now, you would also have to say that the courts have to take equal action as the way they would treat a bank. So if a bank is caught in fraud and they pay $1 billion fine, and then they keep doing business as usual, and then in this case, if the SEC and the government is trying to shut down Ripple, let's say, and they want to close them down, um, that would be, a far overreach and wouldn't be kind of, a balance of justice on how they've, tried other cases. Now, if they say to Ripple, hey, you did something wrong then, now you've already corrected it, but because of that, here's the fine, here's $700 million fine or $1 billion fine or whatever it might be, then we all move on with life, but there has to be some sort of a reckoning and acknowledge if it was passed. We already know now based on outcome that XRP itself is not a security, but you can still sell something that's not a security as a security. You can the sale itself could be a security. That could be the representation of the promises that you're giving. And so, there's so much unknown at this point, but we hope that the courts and and the government, still will have kind of an equal justice, moving forward. Now, here's the question: if there is a $700 million fine, does Ripple take that out of the escrow? Because they get a billion XRP released every single month, and then they take what they need and they put it back in. What happens in that case? So it's a $700 million fine. They're getting, do they have a period of time to pay it back? And then can they take it out of the escrow?
Yeah, the escrow has been a point of I think conflict for a lot of people too. It's so funny, Jeff. Back in the day, everybody's like, when this thing were like, the U.S. government is going to take the escrow. I'm like, okay, so what? Let's forget about all the hype and weirdness and what people think. So where is there a precedent for them to be able to do that? Okay, a private company, where are they going to go? And now I know things have really flipped on its head since 2020. I get all that, but again, when you in the court of law, all the way up to the Supreme Court, what justification would the U.S. government? Because they're going after the escrow. Why, Jeff? Because there's secret meetings, and what are they doing at the secret meetings? Because the Federal Reserve and the Treasury want to take this because they want to leverage XRP because they're going to move trillions. Like, this is like kind of the weird conversation that were happening, and I would just bring up like, well, what's the precedent for that? Like, how would they be able to just go into a private company and do that? Well, they could find them. Okay. But where are they going to take the escrow? And the fact is that the whole idea of the escrow is that has been on the books for a couple of years now, where they release $1 million and then it comes back in if it doesn't, sell or whatever. But where is under what? It's like, because people said it. So this is where we live in a world now where you just say things and they're apparently true. Say anything you want, just it's true, right? Incredible that that all this stuff is so odd, but in a good way, Jeff. This is something new that's breaking. So we had Kevin McCarthy, who was
Hey, my coffee has arrived.
Your coffee has arrived. Nice. I got my
Yes.
coffee right here. By the way, just
Look
a
at that.
coffee break, everybody. What do you got there, Jeff? You better be. This is what I'm drinking today, Jeff. I'm going to tell you right now what's in my cup.
You drinking?
Badass Yetis Obsidian Bold. You
Nice.
can get it at badassyetiscoffee.com right there. I'm drinking the Obsidian Bold. Fresh new batch just came in 2 days ago. Crushed
Nice.
up some this morning. Fresh bean, crush, and man, it is delicious.
The bag is gone. I don't know where it is.
Yeah, I had to go find my bag somewhere because it's an empty bag, but it's the
I have
prop.
a new
You know
order
what I mean?
coming. I'm drinking Segfredo today. I'm waiting on my new order of Badass Yetis to arrive. So I got to
It's
get
delightful.
that. Yep.
So Kevin McCarthy, and there's a little U.S. politics here, but Kevin McCarthy was the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and he made a pact. There were a couple holdouts. If you guys remember, there was a big power struggle at the beginning of January of this year, where there was some people, like the Matt Gaetz of the world said, hey, great, you can be Speaker, but hey, we want this, this, and this to be top of it. And one of the big things was single issue bills.
Mhm.
And that meant like, hey, we
big one.
need to have X, and that's it. If we need to have Y, right? If it was a funding bill, it was for X. And what's happened over the course of the years on both sides of the house, on the
Oh,
parties,
yeah.
right?
Yep.
What became known as pork. So they would say, well, great. So every representative would bring something back home for their community, right? There was a new railroad station that was needed to be built, and they would throw that in there. And the next thing you know, they would call it the funding for X, for whatever it would be. But there would be so much pork in there, just to the tunes of millions of billions of dollars of pork, that it just sort of dwarfed what the original intent was. This was one of the things that happened at the beginning of the year, single issue bills. They wanted to bring a vote to the floor for term limits. They couldn't even do that, right? So who's gonna, when you got the most evil, corrupt humans on earth who occupy the Congress, are you going to vote for your demise? Probably not. Let me vote for a term limit. Hell no. I'm installed here for the next 30, 40 years. And by the time I walk away, I'm going to have billions of dollars, if not millions of dollars in the bank, right? So
At
it's a
least
corrupt system.
millions. Yeah.
So here's what happened. Here's how it played out. And this is so funny to watch how it played out. 7 months goes by. Every single month, guys like Matt Gaetz and other people of the Freedom Caucus would say, hey, you promised this. When is it coming? When is it coming? And that epic tweet that came out where Kevin McCarthy said, bring it. And you had Matt Gaetz that said, I just did. So they kicked out McCarthy because he didn't bring the single issue bill. He created more funding for, I'm not going to say, but he basically went lockstep with the Dems, everything against the platform that they agreed to. And now we're in a scenario where we had a new speaker, and they couldn't elect Jim Jordan because hurt feelings, butt hurt, right? They couldn't, and they were voting for like people. I don't know. You saw that one voted for John Boehner, one of the worst speakers of the House of the Republican Party ever. And it's a toss up because there are a shit ton of them. I mean, yeah, Paul Ryan, another one. Those are pretty much the Republican Party's been notorious for putting the most rhinos, what we call rhino,
We
R-I-N-O, Republican
yeah.
in name only on the.
We haven't had a good one though, Chip, since I want to say Newt Gingrich.
I don't
I
think we
think
have
Newt
had a good one since Newt. We've had nothing, but
Newt was
the Newt was one of the best ones. But Newt's simply gone on. Now Newt had a massive explosion about how are these people doing this and power hungry. I mean, he's lost his way, right? He
he's
once
out
was
of
a,
it. He's out
he
of
was a,
it now. He's not in touch with what's going on.
it
It
was a
was a
great
different world
speaker.
back then.
So Jim Jordan, who is not a rhino, who is a Freedom Caucus member, who does stand for a great platform that pretty much all of us believe in, right? As far as freedom, decentralization, the whole kind of 9 yards, right? What's right for the people, and I want to support the people, but that's not how Congress works. Congress is all about enriching yourselves, and how can I get ahead? And you go there to represent yourself and your own feelings and your own thoughts. By the way, most of the time back home, they disagree with you. But Jeff, this is what happened. Course of events, Jim Jordan out, right? They have the Speaker Templar, which is Patrick McHenry, who I was surprised to learn, on there, there's a freedom score, and his freedom score is below 50%. Now,
But it's weird too because he's very pro crypto.
he's super pro crypto, but his freedom score is another one. This freedom score is based on the sort of the Freedom Caucus and what probably are more akin to way we believe, and probably especially Jeff and I. But this is the latest news. You got breaking. So Kevin McCarthy is now endorsing Tom Emmer for the speaker. Right person for the job, can unite the conference, understands the dynamics of the conference. He also understands what it takes to keep a majority. And I guess it makes sense from the standpoint of that Tom Emmer is the whip, which means he's sort of second to the speaker. But I was surprised to find out his freedom rating is just under 70%. And there was some commentary here.
I wonder what it takes to be 100%. Who's 100%?
Most of the
And
people in the Freedom Caucus. Most of the people like the Jim Jordans,
what are the
Matt
criteria?
Gaetz.
So where do we see Tom Emmer slipping? And if he's supporting crypto, if he's super, look at we've had him on the show. The guy's really pro crypto.
Yeah, he's pro.
And kind of goes along those lines. So then you have to say, where does he stand on some of these other issues?
Well, he tried to make the
voting?
FTX. He tried to have the SEC drop the FTX investigation. There's one. He took funds from FTX, right? He was one of the people
He
and
was one of the
this is what
ones.
other he was one of the ones listed, and I've been
Yep.
trying to put that out to Congress, like, okay, once you discovered everybody in
But
Congress. Now I
it
only
wasn't
know
a
of
huge
two.
number, though. It wasn't a huge number, and he should have given it back.
Yeah, I should have given it back, but there were two. There was one Republican and one Democrat. They're really not the names you hear often, but they were the only two that actually returned it. Now there may be more, but I would like to see that official list. That if you were gifted funds, did you return it? Because that is not your money. That is the people who invested there. As we know, as we hear from these hearings of the FTX hearings, that they basically stole $10 billion of people's funds. They had $1 billion left in the coffers because they were
Right.
messing around and trading people's funds. So
Yeah, I wanna see, though, if when FTX if there's a true trial, not Sam Bankman-Fried, because we know that, the guy, he's book smart, he's computer smart. The guy has no savviness whatsoever. He's not a Bernie Madoff. The guy isn't a wheeler dealer. He didn't know anybody. His parents knew people. His parents were highly connected, politically speaking, which I guess gave him high political favors. But it just seems there was more manipulation than him pulling off something massive like that. Because and that's where you have to then question some of these politicians that would then defend SBF. But the question is, what is the true outcome going to be from that lawsuit? Who's going to fall? Which dominoes are gonna fall? Who's gonna be investigated? What's gonna be found out about it? And then when FTX was toppled, there was a lot of power plays going on behind the scenes by all these politicians, all the money that was being moved, all the money that was being funneled from the US government to the Ukraine, and the amount of money that the Ukraine was investing in FTX, and then the amount of money that FTX was donating to Democrats and some Republicans. Let's just call them, they're donating to the political ecosystem to gain favor, to gain manipulative power. There was so much going on with that. But it seems, if we go back to some of the things we had talked about then too, FTX collapsed prematurely because FTX was supposed to be the slush fund for the 2024 election cycle for the blue team. And that entire slush fund dried up because now, but yeah, they're still trying to funnel, lots and lots of money over to the Ukraine. It's just not going to find its way back through FTX. FTX, came out of nowhere in 18, was one of the major donors to the Biden campaign in 19. You know, that's
it was
that's
a slush
scary.
fund. If you use that about said
Yeah,
it the right way.
it
So
was
here we
it's a
look at
slush fund.
this is the Freedom Works.
There we
These are the
go.
two
That's what
top
we needed to
legislators. You
see.
got Thomas Massey right here, 100% lifetime score,
Rand
97.8. You
Paul.
got Rand
Yep.
Paul, 98% lifetime, 100% session score. Then the two bottom ones, Jeff. No surprise here. So you got Al Green with 12%. And which is interesting is you have Elizabeth Warren who's at 20%, right? So she's kind
But
of
she got
gone
a
up.
66 in the session, though.
Yeah, but this is yeah,
That's a big number.
yeah, but this is the one right here. This is the one which is the freedom.
What's his session score?
I don't know. This one is about based on constitutional votes, so
Okay.
67% lifetime. And if you look at the different Congresses, like the 118th was 80%, 70. So it's gone up over the
Wow.
years, and right now
Yeah.
lifetime. This has brought it down only because of the if you do the mean average here, it's brought it
So
down. But you can see his is sitting around 180. And
so
Tom
this
Emmer
is
has evolved over positions too. I've watched some old people are pulling up old stuff of Tom Emmer, and his positions have evolved. And look, I mean, he is he is very pro crypto. He's pro freedom. If you just look at all his tweets, look at what he says, look at what he talks about. It's pretty spot on. So right here, what do we have right here? We could be getting a very pro crypto speaker of the house, which means the speaker of the house is the one that basically sets the agenda.
right.
And guess what we'll be seeing for votes? We'll
Yeah.
be seeing some crypto stuff come to
I
the
think
fore.
so. And that's kind of what it's going to take because think about it goes to committee, things go to the Financial Services Committee, it goes through there. So what, under Maxine Waters, no legislation saw the light of day at the at the Financial Services Committee. It just died in committee. But imagine now it passes committee, goes to the House floor, and then you have a pro crypto speaker that says, "Hey, we're now going to bring it, and we're going to vote on it." Now the question is, do they get the votes to pass some of this legislation? If it's a bipartisan legislation that kind of appeases, both sides of the coin, then hopefully we get something in. What's amazing to me though, is typically, the way it worked. You have the red team is always concerned about, limited government, more freedom of action, and less red tape, less and just from a regulatory framework, making it easier from a business perspective. And then the blue team always puts themselves out there, quote unquote, worried about the individuals, the retail. Can we protect the people? But that's all bullshit, right? So we know that from experience, from what we've seen, they don't really care about protecting the people. They just want to see how much fat they can
Come
pack
on,
into
Jeff.
it
It's
to
nuts.
increase more regulation and limit the amount of freedom of movement and freedom of action in the guise of actually protecting the retail investor. So, but when you write the bill, it has to be balanced like that. So you have to have a balance of freedom of movement from a regulatory perspective, protecting the retail, protecting the people. It has to have a combine of all of it. If it's decentralized, and then we're putting the power back in the hands of the people, regardless. Uh, I think we need to have more transparency of how the government's working. I would like to see every action that the government takes in a blockchain environment, and just full transparency. The entire budget. I want to see where their money comes from. I want a full accountability of every last dollar that they get contribution wise. Um, Previous election cycles, before they were funneling money through FTX, they were funneling money to another big campaign. That president won 2 terms in a row, but money was funneled through gift cards. And many of those gift cards came from the Middle East. Just saying. And so when you buy gift cards, there's no way to track it at all. And so, but those were the credit card numbers. They were all tracked back to gift cards in $25, $50 increments. So, there's always going to be this level of cheating, and there's groups out there that are dedicated to this corruptive action. But we need full transparency across the board on everything. Even that, what you brought up, Chip, with the Freedom Caucus and these freedom scores, it's hard. It's hard to dig up and analyze that kind of data, voting records. That should also be on the blockchain. Let's see their voting records and just instant access to data. I want instant access to everything that these people do. It will never happen. I know.
That's yeah. I
That's
mean,
what
well,
Jared's saying. It'll never happen. It won't happen. Even voting, one person, one vote. You think that the entire blue team, you think that and I would say so on the red team, on both sides, you think they really want fairness in the election cycle? Did they, zero cheating? Can we have zero tolerance for cheating? One day election on the blockchain, one person, one vote. That's it.
right, right. One person, one vote, and I wanted to
And that's
show
it.
this too. So coming up, there was a little bit of dust up yesterday, some drama, which kind of caught me off guard a little bit because of the person who said it. I almost thought, is this parody account, or is this was the account hacked? Because it was so out of character, and because I follow this person, I follow both of these people pretty regularly, and one of the persons was from Ripple. And I have a Ripple list where I follow just a bunch of people from Ripple. I go through that list. I see what people are tweeting about, which is why I think it caught me off guard. And this right here, so Daniel, who is the CEO of Eminence, which is the parent company of Casino Coin, he is
Oh wow, Casino
the
Coin.
chief tech
Haven't heard that in
officer
a
over
while.
there. Yeah. So and Daniel has been putting out these amazing videos. I've been saving these videos, but he's probably put out the best videos to describe these little 4 or 5 minute chunks to describe things that are happening on the XRPL, the the AMM. Just like really succinctly, beautifully illustrated ways to understand what's happening. And I was like, he's just putting out great content, right? I'm like, these are some of the best videos that I've seen on the subject matter. and we will get to him at some point, probably play some of them tomorrow. I don't know if we'll play them today, but he wrote on ledger.net, said, hey, I just listened to the space. And this was a space where a bunch of different folks were in there. I think David Schwartz was in there as well. I think Vet was the one that hosted it. But he said, hey, listen to this space. How come you weren't in there? So my question never got asked because I guess he was supposed to transmit a question. Did you get too busy? Vet touched on the fringes of my question, but not only was the answer just really disjointed, it never was addressed about my main concern, the use of scripts. The space seemed kind of contrived. And Daniel came in and said, well, we'll finish testing and evaluating the impact after it's live. What could possibly go wrong? So the next tweet was he had commented again on this because Ripple staff, because he was saying, well, I listened to the space. How come you weren't on there? Because the Ripple staff requested that I should not be co-hosting to keep the space neutral. To be more specific, it was an either or request. Based on that, I didn't request to speak. So he was in there, but he wasn't requesting to speak. Now, this was the comment on this, and I took a screenshot of it because I knew it wouldn't last on Twitter because that's how things go. So I took a screenshot. And so here was the original question because the Ripple staff requested I shouldn't be co-hosting because I want to keep it neutral. And Mayuka Vidari, who is, she is a developer over there at Ripple. Like I said, she came out and said, what a shock. Ripple doesn't want you to co-host on a call after you spent months publicly shitting on us just because we didn't give you money. And I was like, Jeff, what is going on? And, Mayuka's like, so first of all, I've seen her speak. It just seems so out of character for me because her tweets are so on point. She tweets about really, and then I saw this and I'm like, did somebody hack her account? Is this really her account? I'm even still questioning it. I mean, it did get deleted. Now, what Daniel came back and said, you can see the post is unavailable because it was deleted. He said, look, we applied for a grant with non-fungible ones. Now, if you guys don't know non-fungible, Daniel is behind non-fungible. Hang on a second. So non-fungible, if you go into your Sum app, it's going to change names. This is the XUMM, the Sum app, right? We're all know and love. There's a app in there which is really awesome. Rob McDermott and I were talking about this yesterday. But you go into non-fungible, and this was an app that he applied for a grant for, right? Because it's the ecosystem. It's only XRPL NFT projects. He said, look, we applied for a grant with non-fungible once. It got denied. Right. Our contact at Ripple did everything they could to make it happen, but it didn't. So other than mentioning it a few times when I was asked about it, I never shit on Ripple for denying it. Is there some proof of this claim, right? Not.
Yeah, because there wasn't. And basically, I mean, when there's grants, we have to question some of the things that we've seen with those grants, who they've given them to, what kind of projects were awarded those grants, where they existed. We've seen some crazy stuff go on, and then we've also seen, a lot of the grants seem to go to the leftist ideology. I'm not just saying, so I don't know, but we can kind of go away from that. I want to give a shout out to everybody that is watching us over on Rumble. So we are on Rumble right now. I put the link in there earlier. I put a tweet out as well that we're streaming on Rumble Wednesday night. Next Wednesday, we are going to be doing a Rumble only show, meaning that it's not going to be on YT. It's going to be over on Rumble. We'll put out a tweet. So make sure that you're following us on Twitter. Make sure you go over to Rumble. I'm going to put this link up there again for everybody that's watching right now. And if you can't get the app Rumble, some people said they can't get Rumble on their phone on Android. I can get it in my store and Play Store, but there could be some versions of the phone that can't operate the app. I don't know. Maybe it's the operating system that you have, but go click that link and then check out. Make sure you go over to Rumble and then follow us on Rumble also. So you'll check out On the Chain and follow us on Rumble. And Jared brings up a good point. Does anybody remember Cinnamon Video? Oh my God, we tried. We went over to Cinnamon. That was another XRP based, quote unquote, XRPL based platform. Yeah, that was a tough one. I just don't think I mean, you look at Rumble. Rumble's, also was up against trying to compete with YouTube. There are a lot of platforms that were trying to compete with YouTube, and Cinnamon was one of them. I never really liked the name of it because not everyone knows how to spell cinnamon. So it's hard to find it. Truthfully, right? It's like, how do you spell cinnamon? And Rumble's easy. YouTube is easy. You have to, if you're going to have a platform, make sure it's just an easy spelling. And so, I'm not saying that's why Cinnamon didn't succeed, but it would have taken millions upon millions upon millions of advertising dollars to blast the market. And that's what they really needed to do. They were building an interesting platform. We tried using it. I think it was developing. We'd put some videos over there, but it would have taken probably more than millions, maybe tens or tens of millions in marketing dollars, online marketing dollars. That's what they really needed. But they never got to that point. But it was interesting to see it develop. Chip, I do want to go to some of the comments here, but I've got the Rumble chat up as well. So it's awesome. We got some people, popping in over on there as well. So it's great to see people talking. We got Spanish Fly. We
Yes.
haven't seen Spanish Fly
We
in a
have not
long
seen
time
Spanish Fly.
over on
Very good.
YouTube, but Spanish Fly's over on Rumble right now
Also
chatting. So
freedom-based,
which is awesome. Which is
yeah,
awesome.
another account you guys should go follow too. But it's another OG in the space. She's gosh, I mean, I think first ran into her maybe 2017 on Twitter.
It's
But you're
been
right,
a
we haven't seen a
while.
lot. Again, I would
Spanish Fly used to be
see
here
her.
all the time, and
I
now
expect to
she's
see her
over
over
there.
on Rumble. So the thing about
Yeah,
Rumble is,
over on
guys,
Rumble.
that
Yep.
we can go full throttle, and I do think that the show will be a little bit of a tinge differently. This is well, it's debatable at this point, but this is a On the Chain is a show that is based upon crypto with some geopolitics thrown in there. We probably will be able to throw some more of the geopolitics in there, because a lot of things we have to censor ourselves. We cannot say certain things. We can't language certain things, but I think it will be a little bit more open and maybe a little bit different version of the show, only in the sense that we're not censoring ourselves. That's going to be the main part of it. So
Yeah.
on Wednesdays, we'll do it over there. That could develop into 2 shows a week, but for now, it's going to be 1 show a week. Could be 2 shows a week. I don't think we'll ever go away from YT, but I do think that at some point we have to be able to
Yeah.
be ourselves and speak our minds. And Jeff and I have just,
It's true.
you sometimes see us stutter. I'll be like, well, can I, blah, 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 I
Ba, ba,
can't
ba,
say
ba,
that.
ba, ba.
No, and then, and then Jeff and I talk about all these cool stuff offline. We're like, yeah, well, that should be the show.
We had a great conversation. That's why we were a little bit late starting today, which is pretty much why we're late starting every day, because we start talking,
That's
and
the worst thing that
we have
happens.
the pre-show. We should start recording our pre-show, and then we'll post the pre-show. We'll record the first like 10 minutes of what we talk about. It was a really great conversation that we were having
It's awesome. Yeah,
prior to
we
the
can't
show, and
have
then
it
we're
here.
like, oh my God, we need to start the show.
We can't have it. We're like, oh my God, that's why a lot of times, because we'll start talking about what do we want to position and what do we want to talk about. This was the red
So
newer. I can't ever say it.
before you do that, I want to show also. So Rumble, and I don't know how the reaction was. I was just trying something different, but I put 2 different titles and 2 different thumbnails up. Rumble has a different thumbnail than YouTube, right? So this is the Rumble thumbnail. This is the YouTube thumbnail.
Interesting. There you go,
I
Jeff.
don't. I was going.
Global.
I said, you know what? I'm in a global conflict, and I just thought that was kind of cool, And then I got that one going over here. I just said, you know what? Let's try something interesting and kind of bounce that off. And
I like that, Jeff.
so
How
that
do
was
we get
fun.
back to this
Yeah,
screen?
let's
There
go
we go.
back.
There we go. So I wanted to throw this up there. Ran Nooner. So this guy's historically been just
Who was that guy?
an uneducated fool, because every time he's been sort of schooled on like how XRP works and everything, he just can't grab the concept. Maxis are
No,
maxis. They can't see anything beyond what's in their face, which is
yeah,
usually their hand covering their
no,
eyes.
no. There's nothing
Ren,
wrong with Bitcoin.
no, I
Put
listen.
that
I
out there.
mean, like I said, Jeff and I are big Bitcoin fans. We talk about Bitcoin often, and the fact that Bitcoin is the dug the well and made everything else possible. And when
Yes,
Bitcoin goes up, when it hit 30,000, the market had some green in it. That's how it works, people. Whether you like it or not. But again, we're not
Mhm.
maxis. We talk about things that are favorites. We talk about XRP because we believe a lot in what's happening in the ecosystem.
Yeah.
But here, Rand Newer said, why are cryptos celebrating the SEC backing out of the Ripple case? All it means now is the SEC can appeal the case sooner. Previously, they had to wait until the end of the case. But now that they dropped the case, in all caps, they can appeal immediately. Be smart. Thanks, Rand, for your once again uneducated bullshit that you spout out of your mouth. Got to be careful here, Jeff. But thank God John Deaton came in behind that with some
Let's hope John
logic and
Deaton responds differently then.
logic and reason. John Deaton said, although Rand is correct that an appeal by the SEC will happen sooner because the SEC chose to dismiss the case against Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson, because the April 2024 trial will now not happen. It is incorrect to say the SEC can appeal immediately. Shocker, Jeff. Spoiler, shocker, Rand. The penalty phase of the case must occur first. Let me provide some perspective. So the summary judgment decision in the library.com, library case was handed down on November 7th, 2022. Final judgment that became appealable was entered on July 11th, 2023, 8 months after the ruling. The appeal was filed on September 7th, 2023. So during those 8 months, there was
Almost a year
additional
later.
discovery, including interrogatories, requests for production of documents, bank statements, all that, and deposition testimony, all followed by filing written briefs and conducting oral arguments. And then in library, the SEC started out wanting 23 million in fines, disgorgement, etc. But in the end, the SEC asked for $130,000 fine. So arguing over 23 million took 8 months. In the Ripple case, we're talking about 770 million. Ripple will argue that on-demand liquidity transactions should be exempt, along with the legitimate business costs, which are salaries, advertising, travel, insurance, etc. The SEC wants the whole 770 million to make up for being embarrassed, including having to dismiss the bogus charges against the executives it could never
How
prove. Right?
how about the SEC pays the fine?
Right.
Pays
That's
it
how
to
it
the
should be,
people.
but these government
Give
agencies are
us a
protected.
billion.
So there's no immediate appeal. Finally, the SEC didn't dismiss the case because it wanted to get a faster appeal. It dismissed the case because it didn't have a chance in hell to win, and the witness list of subpoenas for certain individuals to testify was going to be interesting, to say the least. And we mentioned like people like Bill Hinman, the bill.
Oh
If you
my
look
God.
at what the judge said about the Bill Hinman emails, that all is all going to be front and center. So you want to talk about further
Could you
embarrassing the
imagine?
government and the
Could you imagine
SEC?
bringing Hinman and Clayton in?
Yeah, but
Oh my
that's it.
God.
That's good. Bring them
No.
up there. I mean, they're going to be on. I mean, the embarrassment and being shown up in court, especially on a jury trial, Jeff. There's so much to lose here. There's so much to
Yeah,
lose. So now they're just
way too
competing
much.
against Ripple for selling as XRP as a security, which Torres also admitted happened. And it's just about a fine.
That's it. So,
But
and that's what we have referenced before. So what is that fine gonna be? And then when there is a fine, where does the fine come from? I think it ends up coming from the escrow. It depends on the size of the fine. But man, it's such an overreach. When is Ethereum paying a fine? The Ethereum Foundation, are they gonna pay a fine too? Did they pay a fine? Are they paying
well,
fines? Are they gonna pay $1 billion in fines? And then where does the fine go? That's I wanna know. Like, so they pay $1 billion in fines because they did something incorrect, but there have been over $1 billion in losses to retail, to the general public. And so let's say Ripple's paying the $1 billion, it goes into the coffers of the government, and then where does it go? Does it go unchecked? I mean, who gets it? Does the SEC get it? Does it just end up in the general fund? Can it be put back, to help people? Like what exactly happens when they pay the fine for something? The SEC didn't lose anything. There wasn't a loss. It's a fine. So it just makes no sense. Whole
Jeff,
thing is upside down.
it is upside down. And look
What
at
it
this
is.
right here. This was a sad tweet to see. So Library tweeted this out. Library Inc. is winding down. The Library network is unaffected. Odyssey and other assets will undergo a legal process to satisfy debts, but Odyssey has a bright future ahead. And Odyssey,
Mhm.
by the way, Jeff and I have
It's
been on
really good.
Odyssey since we had Jeremy Kaufman on
We
as,
are over
and,
there.
and that thumbnail was an alternative to
Yep.
YT, is what it was, right? A decentralized alternative to YT. We had Jeremy Kaufman, the CEO of Library, on, I want to say 2 or 3 years ago.
Mm.
And ever since then,
Okay.
we have been collecting, and also too, we've been getting collecting the library token as well. And
It
I
just
don't
sits over
remember
there.
its
I
name,
don't
but
even know what we do with it. It just sits there.
it sits there. But again, we could have had John Deaton represent us in that case too, because we've been acquiring it and we didn't do anything to it's just been sitting there. But every one of our videos is on Odyssey. So if something were to happen, every one of them will be backed up on Odyssey, because every time
I'm
we do a
looking it
show,
up.
it ends up over there, I
I'm trying to
believe.
see if I can find it over there.
It's over
There's an on the chain
on the chain
that
live, I
doesn't
think it's
belong to
called. I think
us.
it's called on the
I
chain
know,
live.
yeah, but there's someone created an on the chain over there that doesn't belong to us. So we
That
should
doesn't,
erase
yeah,
it.
but nobody cares about that. It's garbage.
No, I'm trying to
So
find it. On the
it says,
chain live.
"Thank you everyone
There
who
it is.
fought with us for online freedom. A final goodbye post is in the first reply." And
There
then
it is.
this one here was the Jeremy Kaufman, CEO, said it wasn't a happy ending, but it was a happy journey. Now he's updated his bio to say former CEO of library.com. Again, the SEC takedown was complete and absolute bullshit. Another garbage, unfortunately, you had an old, you know, codger as a judge who was dumber than rocks. And this is what happens, right? This is, and the difference between a library and a Ripple is library didn't have 103, 4, $500 million to go fight the
It's
SEC.
sitting there. That's right. And
They were
that so that and that was then that's a big point is that, with Ripple, they had I don't wanna say they had, well, they have deep pockets. They don't have unlimited deep pockets, but they definitely have deep pockets, and I think that that's huge. I mean, for them to be able to keep fighting and to spend 150 million, and then the SEC expects what the SEC would anticipate when, the government sues an entity is that they eventually have to back down because they don't have the money to continue the lawsuit, to continue fighting back. And in this case, Ripple's like, okay, keep fighting. We'll keep fighting. We got hundreds of millions to spend on this. And that's where we're at, when they spend 150 million fighting the case, and where's library, problematic, really problematic. The fact that the SEC goes after them so aggressively, but then they didn't have they don't have the money.
No,
That
exactly. No, exactly. But so this was a post they put up. What's going to happen to Odyssey, the flagship library app, continues to serve more than 6 million people each
mm,
month, even while it's been
interesting.
iced. CoinGecko rates Odyssey as the most popular Web3 social map in the world. You look at
Uh,
Odyssey, then you have Stream It, then you got Gab, Mastodon, everything else. So you can see that it clearly leads
right.
by a pretty long shot. It is a really cool network. They do have a very good app too. Um,
Yeah. I don't
it
I
would
don't
be
know that it's getting the engagement, that some of these other platforms are getting, and I think
maybe
that
not, but
that's part of it. I'm looking at it, so the engagement is relatively low. I mean, they might have a lot of visitors over there, but I just saw a comment here. So XRP, Peaky is just saying Odyssey is like a Cinnabon name. How about Uncensored TV? Odyssey is kind of like cinnamon. How do you spell Odyssey? Like, do you know how to go online? Do you know how to spell Odyssey? Is it easy to spell Odyssey? Library was easy, just LBRY, but Odyssey is another one of those names, a little bit harder to spell, a little harder to find. But they've been going through this lawsuit. I do think that they need a major push from a marketing perspective. They have to do a massive, massive online campaign, marketing campaign. As I look at their site over here, I think there could be a good push. Platform the platform itself is actually it's easy to use. It's kind of, it's a nice platform. What do the layout's pretty cool. It's easy to kind of, stream down. Here's some of the videos that we have, the last videos. You can see every one of our videos ends up over there automatically, which is really cool, which is what you brought up. We don't get a lot of engagement over there, but
when
every
was that?
single video gets over there automatically, and
When's
we
the
have like
Kaufman interview,
900
Jeff?
followers.
When's that Kaufman interview there?
3 years ago.
3 years ago. Okay, so we were like pretty quick to the
We're very quick to it. As soon as they were on, we were on, and we set up an account over there. We had Jeremy Kaufman on, talked about the platform library. There's a lot of stuff in development. It was really unique because they're a full YouTube partner, so it was really nice where we set everything up and we put it on YouTube. It automatically gets pushed over to library. I mean, it was, it's a cool concept, So, and I think that's part of it, is that they're just mirroring everything that's going on YouTube. So you might not get the full engagement, but it's like a backup platform. They need to do more on the platform to get more engagement on the platform itself. And I think that could shift when YouTube drops off, if it does, then they're sitting there in the wings getting ready, and so it's interesting, different than Rumble, because Rumble doesn't do that. Rumble has a lot of pros, but as we know, we have some issues with they don't have an API. There's things that need to be developed, where YouTube is a little, much further ahead than some of these other platforms. But there's a lot of room for growth and development, for people to move in and take the space that YouTube supposedly, that has been dominating.
Yeah,
So,
and I wanted
a lot
to,
of things going on.
since we have a little bit of time left, Jeff, I wanted to talk a little bit about something really special that's coming up that Jeff
We
and I
have
have been
to.
working on for a while, which is the Badass Yetis Blue Tribe has been around since April, since it first started minting. It's almost 75% sold out. And today at 6 p.m., there's going to be a snapshot taken for everybody who owns a Blue Tribe member. So a snapshot will be taken. That's going to be important. So now if you always thought about like, hey, I always just never got around about getting a Badass Yeti, if you get one before the 6 p.m. Eastern time, which is Miami, New York time, you will be able to get in there. And the reason is when that snapshot's taken, many of you own one, but many of you own more than one. Or many of you have been collecting over time, right? So Rob McDermott has, he sent me something cool yesterday, which I'll show, because he's been engaged with us from the beginning, and he's kind of just been assembling his army, if you will. He's got a pretty solid army, by the way. But the whole idea of, and the cool thing is on our Discord, a lot of people have shared stuff. There's some people that own 10, 15, 20, 30. I mean, there's a whole bunch of people out there that are super fans. Now, what that will entitle you, if let's say you own one, you'll be able to get 1-to-1. So you'll be able to go on there. Yeah, now this is really cool too. So
589.
now Jeff and I purposely put that out in the mint to make sure that it would be owned by one of you, because we put a couple aside for giveaways and that, but we purposely wanted 589. And how cool is it that Rob McDermott just minted that one recently? But the White Tribe, but let's suppose, that's so cool. I like your luck. And so the few that you minted this weekend, along with your other ones you've been assembling and collecting over time, Rob, you'll be able to take whatever that number you own now, you'll be able to take that and you'll be able to mint 1-to-1 and get a White Tribe member. So if you own 5 Blue Tribe members, you'll get 5 White Tribe members for free. And how it's going to work is tomorrow at 6 p.m. for 72 hours, it's going to be opened up on XRP.cafe. You'll be able to go there based on the snapshot that's happening today at 6 p.m. You'll be able to go there and you'll be able to go ahead and mint a 1-to-1. So if you own 2, you'll get 2 White Tribes. You own 5, you get 5 White Tribes. So this is our way, Jeff and our way of saying thank you, right, Jeff? I mean, we wanted to make it special for everybody to.
Very cool. Yeah, we're looking forward to it. I think it's going to be outstanding. The White Tribe, we put a lot of attention into that one, and just laying out, from the different characteristics. We're really excited about it. And there's one within the White Tribe, broken down into the different clans. And so we can show them off real quick. These are the Guardians. So the Guardians they guard the elders. There's only 7 elders. Every tribe has elders except for the Blue Tribe. The Blue Tribe stands out a little bit differently. There's a reason, and we kind of have a background story as to why the Blue Tribe is a little bit more on the decentralized front. They don't have a group of elders that they turn to, but each of the other tribes have a group of elders. The Guardians. You'll see very similar characteristics between the Guardians and the Elders, because some of the Guardians end up becoming Elders as they grow and
As they get to be 200 years old or so, that's what ends up
Right.
happening. But the next one you have up are Tempests. And they're always ready for fighting. So you're going to see them, in a lot of them, in this pose where they're ready, Jeff. They got the fist blazing, and you can see they're ready for battle. Then we've got the Brutes, short in stature, but they are They are they are warriors, and they've got some cool weapons. This they happen to be holding 2 of them. Then you've got the Ash Yetis. You can see they used to be white probably at some point, but they're just because they're steeped around all the ashes of. They're always in the place where things have burned. And then we've got the Fire Yetis. The Fire Yetis can throw fire, and you can see the top of his head there. He's got a little bit of fire going on there. But these are the Fire Yetis, the badass Yetis, White Tribe. Then you got the little Prowlers. And Jeff, those are more akin to if you probably closest in nature to the Blue Tribe clan, where you've got short in stature, cute, cuddly, but again, deadly. So, and you got these little Prowlers. Then you've got, Jeff, you brought up the Elders. Tell us a little bit about the Elders here.
Yeah, so the Elders, they represent the White Tribe, so they're kind of the sole collectors of all the lore. Any of the tribal disputes between all the different clans. So they get to represent the different clans within the White Tribe, and they're the final arbiters of any conflict. Now, when you look at the different tribes, the tribes are in conflict with each other. Sometimes they live in peace, and then the clans within the tribes can be in conflict with each other, especially in the Blue Tribe. They're always vying for who's going to be, potentially leading the tribe. But that's what happens. So the elders will always settle dispute within the tribe between the different clans. But there's only 7 of them. And so when you look at the guy, the characteristics and just everything about it, which is really cool.
Yeah, then next up we've got the Ass Kickers. And again, they wield a powerful weapon, a big sword. And again, they can really they can do some serious damage. Of course, with every time you've got a little bit of comic relief with the Yuck Yucks. The Yuck Yucks are they're kind of silly looking, but they have a lot of funny faces and whatnot. And these guys are something special that belong to the one of the clans here. And then finally, we got the Bandits. Just like the Ass Kickers, they also have a powerful sword, and they can go a little crazy. So there you have it. There you have all 10 of the clans that make up the White Tribe. And again, if you were thinking about getting a badass Yeti,
there you go.
Yeah, so look at this comment by Jim D. Not all badass Yetis are bad. They just made to look that way. How about a hippie Yeti tribe? Carry flowers rather than weapons. Well, the funny thing about that, Jim D, is that these guys here, they're just fisticuffs right there. Look at this. This is all you have here. These guys don't have weapons. They're just built for crunching, man. That's really cool. Lower level, really LOL. Yeah, you have 2. Me too. Me too. Okay, me too. So you have right here, like these guys always have fists ablaze, and they don't have any weapons. I wouldn't call them a hippie though. You could call them that, Jim D, but I'm going to stick far away from calling these guys hippies because
hippies,
they've got their battle gear and they're ready, but man, I wouldn't call them hippies. But these guys don't carry weapons. But look at those fists. When that connects to your throat, it's over, people. So that's a little bit about the clan. So that snapshot will be happening.
Well, at what time? Today, 6 p.m. tonight.
6 p.m.
So make sure, So any Blue Tribes that are owned by 6 p.m. tonight, the snapshot will take place, and then tomorrow the minting starts. What time tomorrow?
For the 1-to-1. So it's 6
for the
p.m.
1-to-1
tomorrow for 72 hours. The thing is the way XRP.cafe
you got to
works,
go on and mint them.
They have to open it up to the 1-to-1 mint. They're doing it for 72 hours, and after that will be the public mint, which you'll be able to go in there and mint the White Tribe. But again, it's a way for Jeff and I to say thank you for everyone that supported us on this journey and the Blue Tribe. We wanted to make sure that and we're still working on utility. We hope to hopefully bring you guys some more utility. The only utility you have right now is the Badass Yetis coffee. You get a discount when you go into the Discord server and you validate your Badass Yeti. You will get a discount, and the discounts ranges from 5, 10, or 20% based on the amount of Badass Yetis you own, and that's the utility. But again, we're going to bring some more utility to the Badass Yetis.
Working on it. There's also
the Blue Tribe will probably be the first that if we're able to secure some kind of a utility. But it's complicated, guys. I mean, we talk about what we talk about here all the time is certainly applies to NFTs. So there's a lot of care that has to that has to happen, and we will certainly, as we can update you and bring you something. But
Yeah.
1-to-1, as it stands right now, you'll have 72 hours to capture. We're trying to get the word out. We'll start putting it out on X, posts on X. We'll start blasting the server, the Discord server. But again, the difference with the Badass Yetis, and one of the things we noticed, because when we were doing that sort of partnership with the Unchained Daniel from Unchained Elephants came to us and said, I'd love to offer and extend a mint, a 1-to-1 mint type of thing, or a free mint for folks. It's
With
really
the elephants.
with the elephants, right? So part of the difficult thing for us is because this is blockchain, because it's anonymous. The only time we know people that have purchased one is if they talk about it. Either they come in here and they talk about it, they post it on X,
Post it.
Twitter,
on
but that's the only
Discord.
time we know about it. We don't have a mailing list where we can say, hey, so we're trying to get the word out, because we don't want anybody to miss the 1-to-1, right? If you own 2 and you say, oh my gosh, I didn't know about it. Well,
Yeah.
we're telling you now. We're telling you on the podcast. We're going to be telling you on Twitter next. We'll be telling you on the Discord. So if you don't belong to those, we have no other way to communicate that. So we're doing the best we
That's
can.
true.
If you know somebody that owns a Badass Yeti, get the word out. Ping them
Let
and
'em
say,
know.
hey, listen,
Yeah.
the 1-to-1 mint starts tomorrow.
And we'll be able to bring it up. So tomorrow night on the show, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll bring up the White Tribe will be live on XRP.cafe. We'll be able to show how to do the 1-to-1 mint for anyone who has a blue tribe, and that's awesome. Yeah, we're excited about it. It's just the beginning of the badassery, the Badass Yetis. We got a lot going on. We have another project that Chip and I are finalizing that'll come out too, and we're working on pulling it all together. It's really exciting, everything that's going on in the space and just development. But lots to talk about. We'll be back on tomorrow night, and then also make sure you guys go over to Rumble. Make sure that you guys join us on Rumble, subscribe to Rumble, because we will be doing a show over there on Wednesday, which will be really great.
And Rob McDermott said
lots going on.
his army will double in size, which is going to be pretty exciting. But I wanted to, so Rob had sent me this yesterday, and again, this has been over time. But check this out. I love the way he put this together. But here's his Badass Yeti army right here. So he's got the Blue Tribe, the Titans, and again, they come with their own names. So you're like, how do I spell that? That's Mapolheim. This one's Golfaxi. This one's Butatadia. And that's how you basically, and they're all original names and whatnot. So the Blue Tribes, you got the Titans. He's got some, by the way, the Titans, man, he's got a pretty solid clan of the Titans.
Group.
And of course,
Got the Pathfinder.
He's got a Pathfinder there. That's Berklinge. And then you've got the Templars, Frostbeards, the Shiver Spines. Jeff, look at those two right there.
The Shiver Spines, they terrified me as we were making them.
They are terrifying. They are terrifying.
Just everything about them.
They will eviscerate you. They are certainly a force to be reckoned with. And I love these two right here, because these, some of them are a little more, they all kind of different range, but these two right here are just, man, warriors. And look at this. You got the Blue Tribe, you got the Mentalist here. And there's a couple cool ones in here as well.
I like the Mentalist.
There's the Blue Tribe, the Mentalist. There's the Spirit Walkers. I always love this guy, because we had a couple of them that were kind of off.
One of them is 589, which is there's the 589 right in the middle.
There's the 589
that's
right
the
there.
Spirit Walker 589. So of the Blue Tribe, there were only 589 made. So number 1 and number 589 had been minted already. So, or now 589 is minted. So
and
both sides of the
Rob got it. So that's very cool. But 589,
cool.
And again, that was in there, and I was wondering when that was going to come up, and if we would notice who actually minted it. But Rob got it, claimed it, 589. And one thing I want to say is there are close to 1,500 of the White Tribe members. The rarest tribe is the Blue Tribe. So
the Blue Tribe is rare.
And when utility shows up, it'll be around the Blue Tribe. So I'm just saying that if you thought about getting a Blue Tribe member, you got until 6 o'clock today, and then you'll automatically be able to qualify to get the 1-to-1.
Yeah. Hey, I just want to put a comment over here from Happy Focus, or Happy Fox Rocks. So he said, perceived value makes the world go round. He spell checked it later down there. Makes the world go round. In the future, NFTs will be used to validate provenance and authenticity of valuables such as diamonds, Rolex, and other commodities. The use case is infinite, and I agree with that. We're just scratching the surface of the NFT world right now. It's fun to be, part of it, to, just start, and there's a lot much, we're going to go a lot further. He said, bye bye Binance US. I already had the Zamoria contract deployed. Timing is the boon of my existence. I must have missed something along his line there, but
Binance went on, would basically stop all withdrawals. So that's what happened this week here. Here, Jim D says the real value of NFTs is to copy the rare art trade the wealthy traditionally use to money launder, and this is a great money laundering scheme. So you do is you mint like a
that's
H.
interesting.
Biden painting, and then you sell it for $1 million, and that's a great way to money launder. So it's like, you're like, oh, I bought that NFT, and did you? It's like, okay, it's a really phenomenal way to money launder. But don't worry, people aren't using the badass Yetis for money laundering. Otherwise, well,
No, you can't do that. Well, you can't with an
maybe he's got
NFT.
340, beautiful.
You can do it with regular art because it's hard to trace and track
And
where that art goes, and
so Davey, actually, you're listening, so you'll be able to be part of that one-to-one mint as well.
that's right. XRP.cafe is saying here, Jeff, can tell the SEC they have inherent utility. You can sweeten chairman's pocket with a Harry Gary Yeti.
Harry Gary
Gary
Yeti.
Yeti.
Gary Yeti. That's I love that.
Yeti. Ken
Yeah.
wants to know when moon. That's a good
We all
question.
want to know that.
That's what we all want to know. Who's going to flip the switch? That's what I want to know.
And Apex coming in just to wish everybody a good morning as we bid the farewell. So there you go. Thank you, Davey. We always appreciate anybody who supported the project. But Jeff and I have had a blast with it. Out of that was born something that Jeff and I are big coffee drinkers and coffee snobs, if you will, and that's why the our Badass Yetis coffee. It's a little bit on the expensive side, but again, when an order comes in, it's roasted and it's sent to you. And if you don't know the difference, try it once and you'll be hooked. If you're that into coffee, it will make some of the coffee you've drank before undrinkable because it's that good. And because
it is that good.
And because our name, hey David, we didn't meet at the party. Yeah. Hey, why don't you send a picture? Why don't you send a picture over on I might even have a picture of us somewhere, but again, I met a lot of people. But Dave, if you could just go on X and tag me in the post if we have a photo together, I'd love to connect the two. If you don't want to, I understand, because you don't want to dox yourself. That's understandable too. And we'll just go with great meeting each other. But I met a lot of people, and sometimes I want to be able to connect the dots. Or you can just send me a picture. You can DM it to me if you don't want to do it publicly. But that way I kind of have an idea of who it is. Jeff, look at that. We're the host right there.
Look at that. The hosts of the event. So check it out. If you guys haven't done so already, come to onthechain.io. Come over here. You can subscribe to onthechain.io. You don't have to pay for it. Just come in, subscribe for free on onthechain.io. And that way you can get an email. So what happens after every show, we take all of our different notes. We take a link to the video. Now we're doing both YouTube and Rumble links, link to the podcast. All of that is over there. So if you miss the show, you'll get an email in your email box showing, hey, here's a link back to the last show. Even though you guys know that we stream 3 days a week, right? We do Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right back here. You guys can join on both YouTube and Rumble. Wednesday night is going to be a Rumble exclusive show. Rumble for Rumble. So make sure that you go and check us out over here as well. So that's going to be really important.
We got Ken Beat says, good morning, guys. Ordering the coffee. I want to say a big shout out to, it's really been great to see. Rob, thanks you for the collection, for sending it over. I love how you categorized everything. And also, too, thanks for the support. Thanks for the support, Davey. Appreciate everything. Hans, always appreciate you, man. Smash those likes. Yeah, before you guys get out of here, go ahead and smash that. It does help the channel. Best way you can help support us is talk about it, tweet about it. Send it out there and share it with other people. We're the best kept secret out there in the YT space, and we're hoping to make a splash in Rumble pretty soon. So we'll slowly build an audience over there, and we'll see what happens. But again, it'll be one show a week.
one show a week over there. It's funny. So we had another comment over here. Dr. Pyrostein said, "These guys make cartoons or what? Wait, are these monster currency? What's going on?" Dr.
Where is that one?
Pyrostein, that's over on Rumble.
On
So I
Rumble,
gotta,
yeah.
I still got to figure out an easier way to be able to share the comments over here. So
I just
it's
wish that
hard
they would
just
have an
based on the way
API
we
so
do
we
it.
could have them in
Oops.
here because it's really odd to sit there and look at us on.
Yeah, we got it. Well, I try to do like a side by side with YouTube and then blow it up so I can try to pull that up and we can have that to share. Then we have the 2 comment boxes, but the comments are live over there. It'd be nice. API over to the StreamYard. Come on, guys at Rumble, get your act together. We need to be able to do that. But we're just it'll be cool. It's
Happy
good
Fox.
stuff.
Thanks, guys. Best of luck. Continued success with the Yetis. I'm off to the Gem Show with my daughter. Beautiful, man. Well, have a great day with your daughter.
That's awesome.
Appreciate
Enjoy.
you tuning in.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, it sounds like a
Gem Show.
great time. And Jeff and I are off to do our Saturday things, which we do with family and all that stuff. So it will be such a day, guys. We'll see you back here tomorrow night at 8 p.m. And then you guys have that one more time during the week. So you'd be like, hey, they're not on YouTube. No show now. The show is going to be on Rumble on Wednesday nights. That's our designated time. And we can just go full throttle. I'll be still probably trying to censor myself, but we'll just say whatever we want to say, however we want to say it, with no thoughts of being, and that's all we have. Well, guys, we'll see you. Anything else, Jeff? Did I miss something, or are we good?
That's it. That's all we got.
We will see you guys on the next one. Chip and Jeff.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.